Nearly 300 samurai gather at Tenryuji Temple in Kyoto to participate in a bloody and brutal tournament known as Kodoku. Participants must use any means necessary to steal each other's number tags, and the first to reach Tokyo will win a grand prize of 100,000 yen. However, amidst the chaotic melee, one samurai finds himself paralyzed by fear. Today, let's dive into the TV series Last Samurai Standing. This down-and-out samurai is named Shujiro Saga. 10 years ago, during the Boshin War, he led a squad to flank the enemy and launch a surprise attack on their commanding general. However, just as he decapitated the enemy general and cheered in victory, a third-party army suddenly appeared on the battlefield. By the time Shujiro regained consciousness and crawled out from a pile of dead bodies, both his comrades and enemies had been reduced to corpses. "10 years pass in the blink of an eye. Shujiro has since settled down and started a family in Kanagawa, Japan, having 2 children. Under the new government's modernization policies, samurai have been reclassified as shizoku, former samurai, stripped of their past privileges and positions. To make matters worse, a cholera outbreak has pushed the people's lives to the brink of despair. Both his wife and daughter contract cholera. Watching them suffer, Shujiro opens a dust-covered chest and takes out his long-rusted katana. The lingering trauma of war makes his limbs run cold, but to save his family, he takes his katana to a pawn shop to sell it. Knowing his family's dire situation, the pawn shop owner refuses to take the sword, giving him some food instead. Stepping out of the shop, Shujiro notices a crowd of villagers gathered around a notice board. It turns out that a martial arts tournament is being held at Tenryuji Temple in Kyoto, boasting a massive prize of 100,000 yen. Upon returning home, he discovers that his daughter, Rin, has already passed away. Determined to cure his wife and save the sick villagers, Shujiro decides to enter the tournament in Kyoto. After a long trek to Kyoto, Shujiro finds the streets bustling with life. He walks into a tavern and warmly greets the owner, an old acquaintance. Shujiro learns from the tavern owner that the local inns are packed with samurai just like him. That night, Shujiro attempts to draw his katana once more, but he is still overcome by fear. Arriving at Tenryuji Temple, he notices heavily armed guards stationed at the entrance. He steps into the courtyard to find a vast training ground where hundreds of samurai have already gathered. He learns from a talkative older man that recruitment for the tournament has spread nationwide. As Shujiro observes the crowd, a man named Enju appears on stage. He explains the rules and the rewards of the competition. To prove the prize money is real, he has his subordinates bring out a giant urn. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Enju shatters it himself. Enju gives everyone 30 seconds to decide if they want to back out. But before he can even finish speaking, a man steps forward. This man is Jinbei Ando, a police officer from the Kyoto Prefectural Office. Believing that everyone present is violating the government's sword abolition edict, Ando demands to know who the mastermind behind the event is. He then charges at Enju, but in a single brief exchange, he is struck down. Having disposed of the meddlesome Ando, Enju rolls out a map of the Tokaido on stage and begins explaining the rules of the game. Participants must pass through designated locations on the map to earn checkpoint points. Without enough points, they cannot proceed to the next stage. Contestants are forbidden from mentioning the game to outsiders and must reach Tokyo within 1 month. Enju announced that during this period, no one is permitted to leave the game. However, if a wooden tag becomes separated from its wearer's body 10 times, it is deemed a withdrawal. Hearing this, some participants throw their wooden tags on the ground and attempt to flee, only to be gunned down by soldiers 10 seconds later. Inju tells everyone to get ready, announcing that the competition will officially begin in 10 seconds. Just then, however, Shujiro spots a young girl not too far away. He can't understand why a child would be participating in such a brutal tournament. As the game begins, the entire venue descends into hell. All the samurai draw their weapons and launch ferocious attacks on those around them. These warriors aren't just using swords and spears. Many employ bizarre and obscure hidden weapons, making their attacks incredibly difficult to defend against. The slaughter unfolding before his eyes triggers Shujiro's memories of the battlefield, and a familiar sense of dread washes over him. At that moment, Shujiro catches a glimpse of the helpless young girl, a sight that reminds him of his late daughter. But just as he tries to step forward to protect her, a towering figure blocks his path. Seeing the girl in danger, Shujiro frantically dodges enemy attacks while trying to make his way toward her. The little girl wildly swings a short sword, trying to keep others at bay. Right then, Shujiro lunges toward her to save her. Meanwhile, a female samurai notices the commotion. As she dispatches the competitors around her, she keeps a close eye on Shujiro and the girl as they slip away. Before long, the first samurai to clear the stage emerges, a man named Ukyo Kikuomi. A subordinate sketches Ukyo's likeness, verifies his identity, and clears him to leave for the next checkpoint. Meanwhile, Shujiro and the girl are hiding out beneath a house. He learns from her that she entered the tournament to save her sick mother. A little girl like her is a sitting duck in this game, and many of the samurai have made her their target. Consequently, Shujiro takes her under his wing, constantly evading the attacks of those around them. However, in the chaos, the wooden tag is snatched from her neck. Hearing the girl's cries, Shujiro quickly scales a wooden scaffold. In the final second of the countdown, Shujiro snatches the tag back and slips it around her neck. Everyone gathered below, ceaselessly swaying the fire rack. The two fall from the high tower and plunge into the water below. As they run for their lives, they spot an incredibly formidable, white-haired old man in the distance. The old man appears to be searching for someone, and he wields his blade with terrifying speed. While the deadly tournament unfolds, a group of high-ranking officials watches the carnage through binoculars from a distant high platform. They view the brutal slaughter as nothing more than an entertaining spectacle, acting as its twisted audience.
さすがは公家の守護神といったところですか。
もっとですよ。いろいろとあったようで。
しかし立ち筋はさすが超一流、見物のしがいがありますな。まだ始まったばかり。お楽しみはこれからですよ。
The girl's name is Futaba Katsuki. Just as they finish introducing themselves, they realize someone has tailed them into the building. Suddenly, another man appears, kills their stalker, and tosses a wooden tag at their feet. The mysterious man even addresses Shujiro by his old moniker, Kokushu the Manslayer, and calls out the deep psychological trauma Shujiro has suffered since the war. The man tells Shujiro that if he wants to keep Futaba alive, killing will be inevitable. By the time they step outside, more than half of the samurai have already been killed or wounded. The grounds are littered with corpses, and the survivors are still frantically swinging their weapons. A hulking warrior locks eyes with Shujiro, having marked him as his target from the very beginning. After a grueling battle, Shujiro manages to snatch the brute's wooden tag. In the nick of time, he grabs Futaba and drags her into the safe zone to advance to the next round. Just as the high-ranking officials are thoroughly enjoying the spectacle, the organizer delivers a letter. It is revealed that the true purpose of this bloody tournament is to eradicate all the ronin, masterless samurai, across the nation.
この孤独にご賛同いただき、皆さんには深く感謝申し上げます。武士とは刀を振ることしかできないにもかかわらず、権威を振りかざし、強者だと勘違いし、時代に取り残されたことに気づきもせず、無意味に生きる愚か者たち。さあ皆さん、この遊びを楽しみ滅ぼしましょう。武士という名の亡霊たちを。
Shujiro and Futaba fight tooth and nail to escape the arena, only to unexpectedly run into Shujiro's bitter rival from 10 years ago, Bukotsu Kanjiya, at a street corner. Bukotsu declares that he only joined the tournament because he knew Shujiro would be there. In that instant, memories of the blood-soaked past come rushing back. Before the establishment of the new government, Shujiro was a dreaded assassin in the underworld, infamous throughout the land as Kokushu the Manslayer. However, he has long since sheathed his blade and retreated into a quiet life, vowing never to kill again. Facing Bukotsu's relentless onslaught, Shujiro remains entirely on the defensive, refusing to draw his weapon. Those who survived the war know exactly what this twisted game truly represents. With the nation now armed with modern firearms and ammunition, the era of the katana is dead. Pushed to the absolute brink, Shujiro finally breaks the promise he made to his wife, drawing the katana he had kept sealed away for a decade. Even though he hasn't wielded a blade in 10 years, Shujiro's lethal skills are still not to be underestimated. Yet, as his blade stops inches from Bukotsu's skull, Shujiro hesitates, unable to deliver the fatal blow. In the nick of time, Futaba seemingly appears out of nowhere on horseback, rescuing Shujiro and galloping away from the fight. Meanwhile, the brutal carnage leaves only 128 survivors in the tournament. The duo flees to an old man's inn. Late that night, Shujiro urges Futaba to take off her wooden tag and quit the competition. He knows all too well that a young girl cannot possibly survive this life-and-death bloodbath. However, Futaba refuses to drop out. She insists that if she runs away, certain lives will be lost forever. Just then, a knock comes at the door. The mysterious man who had helped them earlier suddenly appears. He makes it clear that he harbors no ill will. He simply wants to form an alliance with Kokushu the Manslayer. The man reveals his intention to use the tournament as a front to uncover the identity of the mastermind and the shadowy faction pulling the strings. He finds the entire game highly suspicious. Not only must the participating samurai slaughter one another, but they also have to reach Tokyo within a strict time limit. He even casts doubt on whether the victors will actually receive the promised reward if they succeed. Futaba chimes in, saying she heard from other competitors that high-ranking government officials might be orchestrating the game as a covert operation to confiscate weapons. However, they all agree that the situation is far more complex than it appears on the surface. The only absolute certainty is that the mastermind wields immense power. With 298 samurai originally entering the tournament and 30 wooden tags required to pass the final checkpoint, it means a maximum of only 9 people can actually reach the finish line in Tokyo. For this reason, the man wants to team up with Shujiro to fend off the remaining competitors and uncover the game's true ultimate purpose. Shujiro questions why the man specifically chose him for an alliance. In response, the man actually uses Futaba's life as leverage to strong-arm Shujiro. He gives Shujiro 3 days to consider the offer before slipping away into the night.
それとも一つ忠告や。あんたは切れへんわけやない。切らへんだけや。人斬りは死ぬまで人斬りや。あんたは切れる。佐賀国衆。
お前はなぜ孤独に参加した？
見届けたかっただけかもしれんな。 武士の終末を。
Early the next morning, Futaba walks alone to the edge of a lake and performs a sacred Kagura dance to honor the dead. She had lived at a shrine with her mother since childhood, right up until the cholera epidemic engulfed their village. Her mother had fallen severely ill while trying to nurse the sick. Watching Futaba dance gracefully by the water, Shujiro's heart aches with sorrow. The poignant scene reminds him once again of his own daughter, who was taken from him far too soon. Futaba declared her resolve to him. Even if she were to perish halfway, she would follow him all the way to the very end.
何を祈っていた？
皆が命を全うして幸せに天に昇っていくことを。母は親を失った子供たちの面倒を見ていました。でも今はコロリで床に伏しています。残された村の人たちもコロリと貧しさで苦しんでいます。修次郎さん、私にはお金が必要です。でも私は弱い。一人では生き残れません。だからお願いです。私を連れてってくれませんか？できることは何でもします。たとえこの先修次郎さんが私を切ることになったとしても、私はやれる限りのことをやり抜きたいんです。どうかお願いします。
Ultimately, Shujiro bids farewell to the old man and sets off with the young girl, embarking on their journey to the next city in the tournament.